Hello and welcome to our special presentation Sports Epicenter on India Today, and this week we focus on sport beyond Corona. We already know that a number of sports events have been cancelled or postponed. IPL has been postponed till the foreseeable future. Wimbledon has been cancelled. Tokyo Olympics has been moved back by 1 year. Several other sporting tournaments have also been cancelled. On the other hand, a lot of European leagues, i.e. the Bundesliga, is looking at a possible resumption with closed stadiums towards the end of May. English Premier League looking at June, calling it Project Restart. The Spanish League is also trying to do the same. The Italian Serie A mulling options. So a lot of sporting establishments have now started to look beyond Corona and formulate strategies. So what exactly is going on in the sporting world? Take a look.
The entire world is reeling under the impact of coronavirus. Sports is no different, with events and tournaments either being suspended, postponed or cancelled. The Indian Premier League was among the first few big-ticket events that had to be put on the back burner. But with time, things have only gone from bad to worse. Globally, professional football and tennis have stopped.
Number 5 for the Serbian superstar.
European Championship have been postponed until 2021, and soon the decision came that the French Open has been suspended until September. Tokyo Olympics, which was originally scheduled to begin on July 24th, has also been put off by exactly 1 year. Among other big events, Augusta Masters, one of the major events in the golf calendar, was also put off. Wimbledon is the latest on the list, which has been cancelled for the first time since World War II. Meanwhile, in Italy, as the lockdown begins to lift, the Italian Prime Minister has given a go-ahead for professional sports teams to start training again in May. Though a date hasn't been decided for soccer's top-flight championship to resume, the Serie A sides have been allowed to return to individual training on 4th of May and team training on 18th of May. Formula One boss Chase Carey has also announced plans to resume the delayed 2020 season without spectators in Austria in July. Earlier in April, Taiwan swung into new baseball season with one team planning to place robot mannequins in their crowdless stands.
Being the only one, not just the earliest to open the season, I think we have a mission to bring the comfort or bring the excitement or just to bring to provide a way out for people out there, no matter you're watching from the States, in Europe or maybe in Australia. I think they are looking at us. I believe if they enjoy the game, that also helps the people, to go through this very tough time.
For the first time in 30 years, baseball games from Taiwan are being broadcast with English commentary and streamed online for free to audience abroad via social media. Amid all this, unable to attend live events or watch them in social settings like bars and pubs, the sports fans are becoming increasingly frustrated during the lockdown. And there are out-of-the-box thinkers who have moved in to fill the gap, to provide a virtual motor racing but with top star drivers. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Earlier on in the week, we had a chat with Sunil Gavaskar on what the possible options are in front of the BCCI. Can the BCCI look at a September-October window for the IPL if the World T20 is pushed back? What about the Asia Cup? What about the domestic competitions? How should the BCCI look at the cricketing calendar 3 or 4 months down the line? Here's what Sunil Gavaskar has to say. Take a look.
Sunny bhai, the IPL remains suspended, but at this point in time, even the T20 World Cup seems to be in some doubt.
At the moment, as we all know, Australia has barred foreigners from entering the country till 30th of September. And the tournament is starting from mid-October or third week of October. So it is looking a little bit difficult at the moment.
So anyway, we all know the IPL, the T20 World Cup. They are very important tournaments in the international calendar and also for the health of world cricket. Is there a possibility, just in case to have both these tournaments somehow?
If it can be done, because the next year's World T20 is in India, 2021. So if it can be done, where India and Australia come to an agreement, in case the curve in India flattens out and India and Australia swap, so the World T20 is in India in October, November this year, and in Australia October, November next year, then maybe it can happen. And if it is going to happen that way, then maybe what can be done is that the IPL is held just prior to the World T20, so there is enough practice for the players to get ready for the World T20, and then have end of October to end of November you have the World T20 in India, and then the Asia Cup you have it in December in UAE, because that is a much better time to have the Asia Cup than in September in UAE, when it can be extremely hot in UAE.
The ICC chief executives met last week and discussed the situation that is going on in the world at the moment. And of course, at the center of it all was the World T20. At this point in time, the official stand is planning continues. But unofficially, the ICC is already mulling on multiple options. One, to push the tournament back to 2021. Two, to push the tournament back to early February or March of 21, so that it allows all the countries to come in. Three, possible travel exemptions with help from the Australian government under closed doors and possible chartered flights, if at all feasible, to try and stage the tournament. So in effect, the ICC is considering all the options available to try and see what it can do about the World T20, because the economic considerations are also huge. So here's what the ICC is trying to do.
Clouds of uncertainty are hovering over every sports event in the world. The ICC finds itself sailing in the same boat with doubts over the T20 World Cup, which is scheduled to begin in October down under. However, not all is lost, and ICC, along with other stakeholders involved, is exploring every available opportunity. In a recent meeting attended by various member boards, the ICC has zeroed in on likely options if coronavirus continues to impact the world. The first option is to go ahead with the tournament as scheduled in October-November. The second possible option that the ICC may have is to shift the T20 World Cup to February-March. If nothing works and it takes longer than expected for COVID-19 to subside, move the tournament to 2022 is the only option the ICC may be left with. The International Cricket Council and the other cricket boards are already suffering financial losses, and in case the T20 World Cup doesn't happen, it will only make matters worse. The T20 World Cup surely cannot be the first cricket tournament, as the players will need some match practice and outdoor training to get themselves match ready. In that case, a February start to the T20 World Cup emerges as a likely option, but that also will be dependent on when the impact of coronavirus begins to recede. Sports Bureau, India Today.
As part of India Today's e-conclave post-corona, I had a chat with Rohit Sharma as to what cricket needs to do. Specifically, what do the players need to do to be prepared for the World T20 as and when cricket resumes? Will it put additional pressure? Do the players need to be in a better mental frame? How do they prepare and get ready? Here's what Rohit Sharma had to say. Take a look. Whenever cricket comes back, there is a T20 World Cup that's supposed to happen. I don't know whether it will happen in October or November or will be next year. Do you think whenever it happens, we in India, I mean the team that you have, do you think this can become a problem, the fact that you all are staying away from cricket, or it's the same everywhere? And do you actually think that whenever this team comes back, India will be in a position to give a real crack for that title? There will be this extra incentive coming back to sport after a period of time?
Yeah, I mean, see, winning the World Cup is a dream. It's a dream of all of us together. I want to win World Cup. I want to win World Cups. I'm really like, yes, of course, every time you go out there to represent your country, you want to win every game. But World Cup is something that, is the pinnacle of everything. So I want to win World Cups. And this time, we're really not sure when this World Cup is going to happen. But as in whenever it happens, we will have fair amount of time to prepare for it. I'm pretty sure that, the cricket boards around the world are not just going to say, okay, everything is fine, we will just schedule the World Cup. Of course, there will be preparation time that will be given to all the countries, because all the countries are under lockdown. Nobody is playing or nobody is practicing, nobody is training, besides staying in home and doing limited stuff. And that is not enough. You know what I mean? I mean, you need to go out there in the gym and start training and get into that routine, get your muscles strong, especially for me, because I was injured before all this happened. So I have a lot of work to do before I start playing. I was just around the corner to do my fitness test until the lockdown happened. So the first thing for me would be to just go and do the fitness test and pass the fitness test, and then obviously hit some balls, because it's been a while. The last ball I played was 2nd Feb. It's been a while. That is the day I got injured. So it's been a while for me. So I'm quite looking forward to go out there and play and do what I love the most. And I'm sure it's the same for all of us, all the cricketers.
Whenever sport comes back, if it is in an empty stadium, will you be okay in playing? Will you feel apprehensive that you are playing team sport? Or whenever it comes back, will you be okay in playing in an empty stadium?
It will be a little strange to play in the empty stadium. I don't know how the fans will take it, but as a kid, I have to go back a long way and think how I started playing cricket with nobody watching me. We didn't have any of these luxurious stadiums to play in. So I think the life will go back to that again, where if at all, whatever rules the cricket board comes up with, we just have to follow that and make sure we try and get to play some game, some sort of cricket. At least people will be able to watch it us on television. At least there's something to be looking forward to.
There has been this talk that if India does go to Australia end of the year, all of this is hypothetical still, but just asking you that for the test series, rather than traveling around, do you think a new model, at least in the short term, can be you play in one stadium and one city rather than traveling around, and that's how we can sort of contain and take precautions and go ahead and play?
From what I gather is, less movements, staying in one particular area, and all those things will be very, very important. And eventually, whichever city or whichever country the cricket will be happening, they probably will have to take all the necessary precautions in terms of medical facilities, in terms of whatever is necessary to avoid or stay away from this virus. Because I'm not really sure as to how long it's going to take for it to completely disappear. And I think, in my opinion, is what I feel. There will be guidelines, henceforth, whenever we play, about how we control our movements around the hotel, how we control our movement around the city. I don't think we'll be able to go out freely if at all this happens, or if at all we are allowed to travel abroad. All those necessary steps will be taken for sure to make sure everybody is safe. And yes, like you said, every now and then, we have to make sure that we are tested so that it doesn't spread, or it doesn't easily go across.
Almost every sporting establishment, institution, club or league is facing serious financial crisis. A lot of German Bundesliga clubs might even collapse. The same can happen to clubs in the English Premier League. That is one of the considerations prompting Cricket Australia to try and appeal to the government to ensure that special travel exemptions are in place so that the India tour can happen late this year. Wimbledon showed incredible vision and had taken out pandemic insurance of $2 million every year for the last 17 years. Today, they stand to get $141 million. So what did Wimbledon do that the others did not? Take a look.
Coronavirus has brought the world to a virtual standstill. Almost every sector is counting its losses, and sports is no different. However, the All England Club, the organizers of Wimbledon, seems to be better prepared than most of the global heavyweights. The All England Club had sought a pandemic insurance policy post-SARS outbreak in 2003. They paid roughly about $2 million annually for 17 years, and following the cancellation of Wimbledon this year, the pandemic insurance policy will pay out an estimated $141 million to the organizers.
Taking insurance is very, very important, whether it's ticket sales, whether it's corporate endorsements, whether it's television rights. The business of sport has become so big that I feel that Wimbledon and big events like that have done a phenomenal job in protecting all their ticket sales holders, all their members of the All England Club, their television rights, their sponsors.
Tournament and event organizers do take insurance policies, but most or every one of them prefer to keep the pandemic clause out. The chances of holding the Indian Premier League, which also stands suspended, are also getting grim with each passing day. The BCCI also has an insurance policy for IPL and other cricket matches, but that is valid only in case of war or terrorist activities. However, sources in the BCCI have told India Today that the board may look to amend the existing policy and be prepared for every eventuality. Sports Bureau, India Today.
It's time for a quick break here on the show. On the other side, one of India's greatest is stuck in Germany at the time of this pandemic. He wasn't able to return to India before the lockdown started. So what is Vishwanathan Anand doing in Germany at this point? We come back. Before going into the break, I mentioned to you that one of India's greatest, Vishwanathan Anand, is stuck in Germany. Here's Vishy speaking to my colleague Rahul Rawat about what he is doing in Germany at this point in time in the middle of this pandemic and how he is dealing with it all.
We are joined by five-time world champion and grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand, who is somehow stuck in Germany for over a month now. Anand, how are you coping with the situation? It's been more than a month now. How is Germany, and where exactly are you?
Well, I'm in a town near Frankfurt, and I came for some German league matches. But after that, first the league matches got cancelled, and then flights got cancelled. And so here I am. I'm doing okay. I have some friends nearby. I have no real issues, except that I'm still waiting for flights to come back home. And I keep busy with my physical training, and also there's quite a lot of online chess going on. I also have a chance to with friends, things like that. So there's a lot of people with a lot of time out there.
Well, Anand, you have a strange relationship, as far as Germany is concerned. In 2010, when you had to go to Sofia to play that World Championship match against Topolov, you were stuck in Germany at that time also. During those when we heard those volcanic ashes, they were floating around in the airspace. You were not able to reach your destination. You had to travel by road, for those 40 hours. And now again you find yourself perhaps in an even worse situation this time.
Yes, it's a funny coincidence, and of course that time. We waited 3 days and we eventually went by road, but flights are assumed within a week or at most 10 days, if I remember correctly. This one is, of course, orders of magnitude higher because it's affecting the whole world. and this is actually very, very serious. But yes, both times I've stayed in Germany. I mean, this is the place where I did a lot of my match training, so I'm used to staying here for long stretches of time. It's just that this time it worked out very, very unexpected.
And how do you think, how do you see, life and sports post-COVID-19?
I think while life will not return to normal, but it'll come close to that. So probably when things resume, it looks like normalcy has returned, but there'll be a lot of details which you'll slowly encounter, which tell you that this time it's really different. For sporting competitions and all, I think there'll be a period where we'll have to work hard to keep the events going, but everybody will have to make do with less. This will happen for quite some time, and long term, I think it may take 2 or 3 years before we completely stop noticing the effects. Because in the meantime, there might be all sorts of medical restrictions, all sorts of changes. And I cannot say that, I cannot really tell, but I feel that life will not just go back to how it was in November that quickly.
Clearly, the sporting world, like many other sectors, is dealing with the worst ever crisis in recent history, and perhaps the worst crisis of all time. But like everything else, there is hope at the end of the tunnel. Science will triumph. The vaccine will come. We are all being told it's about a year away. And if that happens, when the world gets a therapeutic or a vaccine, sport will start. And I need to take you to that day. If that happens, think of Tokyo. It will be the single biggest human festival of all time. To that, wishing to that, with that optimism. Thanks for watching. Fingers crossed. Stay at home and stay healthy.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.